Hello, my name is Perry from Perry's Planet, and today we are starting our first in a series of interviews with our Perry's Planet meditation education gathering people and guides. And it's very appropriate that today we are going to be interviewing Dr. Linda Berry, which you will hear more about later. Perry's Planet has been going on monthly since 2019 in person. And then when the lockdown happened, we went to Zoom every week for a while and then resumed back to monthly. It's for women who are strong, powerful, may feel beaten up by the world and are looking for their internal healing and taking care of themselves so they can shine the light in the world. So I welcome you to our first recorded interview. And so here,
Okay, hang on a second. Okay.
well, welcome. This is the first of a series of Perry's Planet interviews with our meditation education guides. And
Awesome.
I think it's really appropriate that when we started the meditations, 2019, I've been doing them monthly. In 2020, when we shut down, I was connected with Dr. Linda Berry, so with you. And so I was just thinking about that. I thought how great to kind of go full circle. And at that point, the world had come to literally a healing crisis.
Reaching halt, right?
And we're still there. And so the purpose of Perry's Planet, and it always has been for me as a teaching Pilates and yoga and strength training, is to bring your best version of yourself to the world for your own self-care. And then we have the ripple effect out there. So just being with you, Dr. Linda, I know you have the same, very much the same purpose to be spreading it out there. And
Yes.
so welcome. So today we had a wonderful meditation with you at Mammoth Mountain almost a month ago, and you did two great, wonderful meditations, and you can tell a little bit about yourself, but I was very drawn to you knowing that you'd gone through a very severe personal health crisis yourself, as a dancer and a mover, and just what went through your head and how you navigated it and how you've came out the other end, just growing and blossoming. And as a healer, as a chiropractor, as a guide, it's just wonderful to have you in our world. So Dr. Linda, tell me, you work with people now and as a chiropractor and healer. How did you get into the healing world?
Yeah, so I was a dancer, as Perry said, in a modern dance company when I was in my 20s at the end of college and afterwards. And one night after a performance that we did, three of us were traveling down in a U-Haul van. And you know how when you're in your 20s, you think you're immortal. So I was just hitching a ride with them, sitting on the pillows in the middle of the seats while Bill and Arnie were locked in with their seatbelts. And unfortunately, the van went out of control, went across the two lanes of the freeway we were on, across the median, across the other side of the freeway, and ended up facing in the opposite direction from the way we were traveling. And unfortunately, I crashed through the windshield with my face and crushed my spine in the first lumbar segment. And that caused me to be paralyzed. I was in the hospital for 3.5 months. So I was going from a person who had been a purple belt in karate, who oftentimes had to hitchhike because my car would break down, and I was a dancer and dancing with a modern dance company and choreographing. And I was laying on my back and then flipping over onto my stomach with a bed that went from stomach to back. Um, and I was still. So there was a very different world for me at that point in time. That so at that point, how do you make lemonade from lemons? Well, I rehabbed for up to a year for afterwards. I did a lot of swimming. And then I wasn't getting everything back. I still have partial paralysis. My right foot doesn't work, and my left quadricep muscles are weaker than my right, more atrophied. So I decided I needed to do something else. So I had been helped by chiropractic when I was a dancer, and I had a very strong interest in nutrition since I was 17 years old. So I decided to marry those two things together and become a doctor of chiropractic who focused on nutrition. And since then, I've expanded because I found that wasn't enough for my own personal healing and for me to do the best for my patients.
Well, you use many different type of tools, which is always intriguing, and there is not always one path for people. I know so much of what people are going through these days is the mental anxiety that really can impede the body from healing. Can you tell us, you were sharing in our talk before, a little bit about how that mental and the brain can affect the healing and how it did it for you?
Yeah, so there's a term, it's called somaticizing. So what that means is that we internalize our mental, emotional, spiritual stress, and it ends up in our body causing pain or tension, or it could cause problem with our organs like digestive upset. So that process of internalizing stuff is based on a trauma pattern in the body. So I also did a 3-year training program with Peter Levine's somatic experiencing technique and use that in my practice as well. So we know that there are basically 3 parts to the brain. This part in the back, it's called the reptile. And that part of our brain reacts without us thinking about it. So, if you want to get a cup of water, you reach out, you get a cup of water, lift it to your lips. That's an intentional thing. But what happens in this part of the brain, in the lowest part of the brain, is that we don't think about it, it just reacts. Then the middle part of the brain is our emotions, our memory, and then there's the prefrontal cortex. So, what happens often is that people get into a pattern where they're constantly reinforcing the trauma. It's kind of negative self talk or constantly reliving memories, and that creates a pathway in the brain, just like a deer walking through the woods. And the more the deer walks through the wood, the more embedded that pattern becomes. So, in order to change that, we've got this prefrontal cortex here. This is our part of our brain that helps us to calm the middle brain, our emotions, and also to help repattern the reptile brain so that it's not so knee-jerk reaction to go into anger or upset or crying or whatever experience emotionally that a person has. It's called neuroplasticity. So what we know is that our nervous system is plastic, meaning not the bad plastic that we want to try to get rid of, but that it has the ability to change over time. So we have the opportunity to retrain our brain by using our prefrontal cortex in order to calm, as I said, the emotions, the middle part of the brain, and the reptile brain. So that's largely dependent on focus. There's different trends and different things in the media that are marketed. And there was a big trend a number of years ago talking about mindfulness. So that's essentially what this part of the brain is. It's a mindful reaction to use your focus in order to change your body's reactions to stress and previous trauma.
Which is wonderful to be able to have to repeat, to do something that really does start to train that part of your brain that really can, then start to have the healing effects on the body. So yes.
Exactly.
And we will do some meditation that will address that that mindfulness and that focus. Because I actually, my logo is meditation and movement, meditation and mindfulness. And I'm always about, just pay attention, follow your breath, follow your breath. But sometimes, things certainly step in the way. The second point that we talked about, and we're kind of moving through a lot faster than we did on our regular gathering, was the other thing that impedes the healing process is really the nutrition. And there's so much out there in the news these days that people literally, are trying to figure out what's the best approach. How many, you talked about probiotics, the gut health. We hear
Right,
about the gut health. We've heard about the microbiome now
right.
with computers. One of the beauties of having computers is we can map our gut and see, how much disruption there is in there, but it's still not an exact science to know what you need to do. Can you tell us, you wrote the book, author, Internal Cleansing, just a
Yes.
little bit about what's what's the best approach to cleansing? Are there stages of cleansing? And just a little snippet of what you're all about in that.
Sure. So in my book, I talk about the toxins that we're exposed to. There's 1,000 chemicals produced every year. The people who say whether a chemical is safe is actually the chemical industry that produces them. Duh, not such a good plan. So and then there's the complexity of every year there's new chemicals that are produced. So we don't, even if they're testing just for one chemical safety, what's the combination of those chemicals causing in our bodies? So that's one of the stressors. And then a lot of people now are eating fast foods, and they might have synthetic vitamins in them, and they have a lot of sugar, a lot of fat. They might have a lot of chemicals in them, artificial colors, artificial flavors, etc. And those things affect the brain. So, for instance, people know about MSG. Well, Caucasian people like me don't have the enzyme system like Asians do in order to be able to metabolize that. And what MSG is a stimulant for the brain. And for my brain, it makes me get a headache for 3 days. So I really can't eat in most Chinese restaurants because, and some other Asian restaurants that use MSG, because my body doesn't have the ability to break down that compound. So there's that, the genetic individuality that marks what a person can handle or not. Even healthy foods could have a problem. There's a book by Sally Norton called Toxic Superfoods, and I was pushing a lot of blackberries and spinach and um, kale, and all of those things are very high in a compound called oxalates, and that can create problems in the body too. So there's the unique individuality that we also have to correct for. But just eating simple whole foods that have fiber content helps to produce beneficial bacteria in our gut that then helps to support our brain. We can also become toxic because of backwash of uh, chemicals from the kidneys. So we want to make sure that we drink sufficient amounts of water, stay hydrated. Our bodies are 65% water, or 70%, some people say. And it's very interesting that on our planet, the oceans constitute 70% of the world's mass. So it's kind of interesting. We're very similar to the ocean, and the salt water is the same as our hemoglobin, except it doesn't have the heme portion, and it doesn't have the portion that makes the blood red. So we want to go towards a whole food diet with lots of vegetables. In Loma Linda, I just gave a talk on life after 65 with the Blue Zones perspective.
Yeah.
And what the Loma Linda community in California that's long lived, they eat 10 servings of vegetables a day. So corn isn't a vegetable, that's a grain, that's high water content, like summer squash, lettuces, sprouts, those type of things. Broccoli, the cruciferous vegetables are very high. So we want to have, if we look at our plate, we want to have half of our plate be full of those high water content vegetables, 1/4 of the plate be high quality protein, and then another quarter, if you tolerate it, high quality grains. Grains tend to be high in oxalates too, so if that's an issue for you, you may not be able to eat grains, but more focus on the healthy fats, the healthy proteins, and the healthy vegetables. So
And
there are, yeah.
a question on that, not to, excuse me for, is the oxalates. Can your body adapt over time as as your gut gets healthier? Or are you like the epigenetics, like your genetics, you can get stronger so you can tolerate, for example, more greens or more, more kale or more of those superfoods? Or is it, or have you found that? We,
Well, I Sally describes it very carefully in her book. She's originally a biochemist. And so certain people, because of their genetics, have a greater tolerance for high oxalate foods. But if your genetics don't have the ability to eliminate them effectively, she says that some people who are highly sensitive can only have 10 milligrams of oxalates a day, whereas generally she recommends no more than 60 milligrams, but a maximum of 100. So it's not based on the genetics, it's based on that rather than being able to build up a tolerance the more healthy you are.
yeah, okay, well,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's good to know.
And
So
I have found that there's a number of different products now that are available. There's a company called Pendulum that has probiotics, and they also have a prebiotic. And there's also a company called Aduco that has probiotics that help with different conditions, like feeling safe in the world, for instance. So getting the right balance of healthy microorganisms in your gut helps your brain to become more healthy and relaxed.
And that's really the key. I mean, I know people that have been eating very healthy foods and they have, diarrhea or, IBS, and it's like, what? I'm doing everything, correctly. And then, and
Yeah.
and that question on the probiotics, um, there's so many out there. I mean, there's so
Right.
many, so individualized. Do you ever do any testing on what type of what is good for people to, or how would you determine that?
Yeah. Well, there's clinical trials, right? So you can have the research, but then you've got the individual. So based on a person's history, what's going on in their gut, um, you can recommend something, and then you just have to do the clinical trial and see if it's going to work for them. So the way that research is done, it's a bell curve, right? So, and in researchers, they cut off what's called the outliers. So the people who have a brilliant response and the people who have a negative response, they cut them off and they do what the median is. So that's what they recommend, is going for the median, but that might not be you. So you have to do your own
Yes.
investigation
Yes.
internally.
Yeah, I wrote a book a number of years ago that was really more of a tracking of your health of every little thing. And it's funny, until you're not well, people don't seem to want to track their health at all. Like, well, I'm drinking enough water. And then all of a sudden you become sick. It's like, well, let me check how much, I'm doing and what am I doing? How am I sleeping and the effects of it. So yes. And before we go into the meditation, which will be next, you do have a few tools that you use too. Frequency healing. We've done sound healing in our meditations.
Mm.
There's some sound I listened to on YouTube, and I was like, I don't know what it's doing, but it's working. So just tell us a little bit of the other tools that you use in your office.
Yeah, well, one of the tools, let me try to turn my camera so you can see this. See that blue thing on the side? That's actually a posture and body scan. It checks whether your three arches in your feet are supporting you, but it also checks for what's called forward head translation. I'm going to turn around. So what's ideal is to have your ear right above your shoulder. But most of us, everybody I scan is like this.
Yeah.
And that's because we've got, what do we got? We got our phones and we're looking forward and we're looking at our keyboard and we're
Or
eating and we're carrying.
driving.
Right, exactly. So the unfortunate thing about that forward head translation is that it can actually increase the risk for dementia. So
Oh,
getting a proper alignment and posture is something that's very helpful from your feet up. And then over here behind me, you see there's a black thing there on the table.
oh,
That's
yeah.
my cloud right there. And
Mhm.
that was developed by a theoretical physicist, neurobiologist, and zoologist by the name of Dr. Wolf Kafka. He was the founder of the Max Planck Institute in Europe for 30 years. And he originally created a device called the Beamer, which was the most
Oh,
sophisticated signal at that time. But that was a signal that he developed that came to the marketplace in 1998. So, I mean, I don't have the same cell phone that I had in 1998, nor do I have the same computer in 1998. We need to upgrade when technology advances. And so Dr. Kafka knew that he wasn't doing the best thing he could for people. So he, instead of having just two frequencies that are in the Beamer, he now has multiple frequencies that go from 1 to 200 in the cloud. So that represents the electricity in our body. Does everybody know that your body's electric? I mean, that was, I don't know, that might even been a musical, right? The
I
Body
think it
Electric.
was at least a book.
Right, at least a book.
Mm.
So, for instance, our mitochondria, which are inside of our cells and produce energy for us to be able to do all the things that we do in a day, vibrate at a frequency of 14 hertz. Whereas the nerves, so you have a nerve that might go this far, and then it has to hook up with another nerve in order to get to your brain, or vice versa. And that place where they meet is called the synapse, and the electrical charge at the synapse is 200 hertz. So Dr. Kafka provides a multiple number of frequencies that relate to almost every cell in the body. And
Uh-huh.
he has two different channels that are going on at the same time that change the frequency every 3 minutes. So you're getting a superimposition of sound. So I like describe it this way. You could listen to a violin player and it's beautiful, but then if you have a symphony, you're getting a much richer, deeper, full, more encompassing sound. And that's what the cloud is like versus the Beamer. The
Oh,
cloud has two channels with multiple frequencies, and you have the ability to change from relax, balance, energize, synchronize, and transform. So those are the 5 different options you get to use with the cloud. And now they have added 5 new frequencies that are available as an update. So something that I like very much about this company is they're constantly striving to improve what's
yeah.
going on. And then I have a personal pulsed electromagnetic frequency device. It's called the Bubble, and it has 2 Tesla coils inside, and it sends out a frequency. And I have mine set to 528, which is the frequency for miracles, also cellular matrix. And you can look up these frequencies online. They're called solfeggi frequencies.
Mm.
Different organs have different frequencies. The heart's around 40, something like that. So wearing this, you can set it, and you can also set it to the Earth's Schumann frequency. So those are some of the tools that I have in my office. And then back on the filing cabinet, there's a little box next to the clock, and that's called the Cocoon, and that has different cards that are embedded with frequencies. So I have mine set for blocking e-smog, the bad stuff, the high tension wires, cell phones, et cetera, and also set for relaxation, for um, discomfort relief, for helping to your immune system, etc. There's 10 different cards that are available through that. So that's all available in your office if you come and see me.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, that's really wonderful. One last question, then we go. We've always done research on EMFs and all that e-smog that you're talking about. There's always that sort of wonder if I know I told people never to put the heating pads because you're getting more of the
Right. Yes.
electricity coming into you. So they, in these mats or the cloud, do they find a way that it really is not impeding, it's not the bad type of
Yeah,
EMFs?
sure. So there's two different kinds of electricity. There's alternating current and direct current. And alternating current is what's bad for us.
Uh,
Direct current is what's in our body. So the cloud only produces direct current energy. All of these produce direct current energy. And also, you don't have to come to my office. They are available in the marketplace. I'm an affiliate. So they are available for you to have in your home as well.
Okay, well, wonderful. Oh, we're full of good information. So to offer, we're going to do some mini meditations for all of you, just to know that it doesn't take so long to really come into a good place. And so I would love you to guide us on a short into the good meditation, and then we'll do a little smile into distress. The rest of them we can actually guide and send more info out to you in the listening world for a deeper, longer meditation. But
Yeah. So the first one that we'll do is actually from Rick Hansen, and you could search this on Google, just search for taking in the good. And I'm going to abbreviate it to a three-step process. So we talked about the pathways in our brain. So Rick and other people before him talk about negativity. Negativity sticks like Velcro. We have a hard time getting rid of it. And then positivity is like Teflon. It just tends to slide off. So he said that it takes 5 times the amount of positive impulses, experiences to negate one negative impulse. So when I heard that, I figured, well, I got to spend the rest of my life thinking about what's good. So, so
5 times,
this
yeah.
this three-part process. First, you want to focus on something that's good. Then you want to feel it in your body. And then the third step is to stay with it and just keep letting that experience grow. Now, it's normal for us, for our minds to wander. So don't judge yourself about that. It's just a normal thing in our world. We've got so much information coming in and so much that we've got to process. So if something disturbs your thought, just gently come back to feeling what's good. And if you can focus on the sensation in your body, that will help you to keep coming back to the good. So when we meditate, we want to get our feet on the ground. You want to make sure you're breathing into the belly. When we breathe like this, that's stress breathing. That puts us into a sympathetic nervous system state, which is a do, action, or fight and or flee. So you want to deepen our breathing into our abdomen. You might even put your hands on your belly so you can feel your abdomen expand. And that takes us into the parasympathetic nervous system state, which is about relaxation, rest, regeneration. It helps with your digestion. You want to be in this parasympathetic state when you eat so that your body can produce the enzymes so that you get nutrients from your food instead of toxins. So feet on the ground. You can put your hands wherever you like. My Taoist teacher, who I've trained with for 40 years, he puts his hands on his thighs. That helps with grounding. Or you can put your hands like this. You've got 2 energy centers in your palms, so you can link those up. So whatever is comfortable for you. And also you can keep your eyes closed or open, whatever is most comfortable for you. So I'm going to close my eyes. So my feet are on the ground, my hands are on my thighs. Let's take a couple breaths together, inhaling, filling your abdomen, exhaling, letting go, getting present in the moment. Another breath in. What Ram Dass says, be here now, breathe out. And then the third time, just to anchor ourselves together in this moment of taking in the good. And then I want you to bring your prefrontal cortex, that frontal part of your brain, to think about something that's good in your life. Maybe there's a part of your body that feels terrific now, or a terrific experience you've had, or somebody that you love that you can think about. So just thinking about something that feels good. If you're a visual person, it might just be imagining a color that you love. Right now, I'm getting a beautiful turquoise color. So just breathing in, focusing on the good in your mind, and let that sink into your emotions, how you feel about this wonderful, positive experience. And then become aware of your body. And as you breathe in, let the experience expand. That feeling of good, that feeling of love, maybe a feeling of wonder or excitement. Letting it fill your body from the inside out. Letting it flow from your brain into your body, into your inside of your body. That experience of feeling good or that beautiful color. Letting it spread all the way down your neck and shoulders into your arms and fingers and hands. And then letting it flow into your torso, into your bottom, into your pelvic region. Letting it flow down your legs, all the way down to your toes. You might feel a pulsation or a tingling or a vibration. And if you don't, that's not a problem. Just keep focusing on what helps you feel good, what made you feel good, and letting that spread throughout all of your body. And then for the last part, I'm going to be silent, and I want you to just be with that feeling. Just let it anchor into your body, let it go into all of your cells. And we're just doing a short meditation, so we'll finish up now by gently coming back into the moment. When you're ready, if your eyes have been closed, you can open them. Maybe there's a smile on your face from taking in the good. Yeah. And looking at Perry, let's take a moment to just stand and do a little stretch in between before we go into the next meditation. So just standing up and stretching, maybe rotating one side. So, Perry was talking about movement. That's one of the best things you can do to help clear energy. Stretching, maybe feeling all that goodness going into your whole body as you're stretching, bending forward and opening up. Okay, so that was taking in the good.
All right. Ooh, yes, I can feel it.
Yeah. And then the next meditation that I'm going to share comes from the Taoist tradition. My teacher has been Mantak Chia. I really like working with him because you don't have to wear colors of a certain color. You don't have to learn a foreign language. He doesn't put himself up as the big guru. He just says he's like your brother that's teaching you stuff. And the very basic meditation that he does is called the inner smile. And I have Master Chia's permission to alter it to create a 15-minute guided meditation, which you can sign up for. Um, Perry will let you know. And we're going to do it much more quickly today, where you find the places in your body that might hurt, or a particular experience that was negative, a relationship that might be problematic. And what we do with this meditation is that we encapsulate it in whatever way works for you. I'll guide you through that as we go through this meditation, and then get it out of your body. So it's no longer, you're no longer somaticizing, that word that I talked about in the beginning of our time together. You're not taking it into your body anymore. You're not letting it stay in your body. You're actually taking it out and sending it out, and then filling yourself back up with the goodness, like just what we've done with the taking in the good experience. So let's get ready to do that again. Feet on the ground, or if you can lay down, if you're more comfortable laying down, meditating, put your hands wherever you're comfortable. Close your eyes or not. And then let's start with the smile. So you want to lift up the corners of your mouth and let the smile engage your whole face. So that you actually get those smile lines around your eyes. That's what really matters, rather than a social smile where you just smile with your lips. And when you smile, your body actually produces happy hormones. And those happy hormones help your muscles to relax, and they also help improve circulation. They support your immune system health. So just smiling, if you're not into meditating, just smiling with your whole face and your whole being is a great way to start to develop those pathways for goodness in your body, taking in the good. So smiling into your face and then connecting to the earth energy below your feet, the yin, the mother energy, letting that stream up from the earth into your body, combining with your smiling energy. And then noticing the top of your head and connecting to the heavenly energy, the yang energy, the sun energy, and letting that flow down, combining with the earth, the mother energy. This is the father energy, combining into what has created you, a mother and a father seed. Joining with your smile, letting it relax your face, and then connecting into your heart, finding love in your heart, and letting that blend in to create this elixir. So we always start with creating something that's good before we move on to what we want to transform or release. So building up that earth energy, heavenly energy, and then also bringing in through the mid-eyebrow point, nature energy. We get so much benefit from nature. It feeds us and keeps us alive. So letting that come in and join with this healthy, happy love elixir. And now maybe there's a part of your body that's not feeling so comfortable. And so bring your awareness to that part of your body. Just a small part of your awareness, not getting buried under the pain or the discomfort, but just maybe 5 or 10% of your awareness there, where 90% of your awareness is on what's good, the smiling, loving, healing energy that you've been creating so far. And then begin to, it could be emotional issue too. It could be an emotional trauma. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be a memory that haunts you. So try to encapsulate that. You might imagine wrapping it up in layers of fabric or metal. You might imagine closing it in a trunk and putting a lock on it, throwing away the key so it can never come out. You might imagine then sending the energy up and out and letting the etheric angel beings carry it away. So, with that enclosed in a safe space, so it's out of your being, out of your consciousness, out of your emotions, letting this then be encapsulated so it's not disturbing you anymore. It's outside of your being, outside of your body, outside of your thoughts, emotions, and feelings. And then dispose of it in whatever way feels right. Maybe burying it in the earth like compost, maybe sending it to the center of the earth, the molten core, to burn up into dust. one of my listeners decided that they would dump it into the ocean, and that a shark came by and gobbled it up and took it away. So whatever methodology you have for getting rid of it, letting go, see that going away. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone. And then coming back to the good feeling and letting the good feeling fill you up again. The love, the earth, the energy, the healing energy from the sun, from the father, from the mother, from nature. Love within your own being. Letting that fill up the empty place that's been freed from the trauma, from the badness. Let it fill up now with a beautiful color, beautiful light, a beautiful feeling with love. Breathing that in, letting it expand, filling up all the places that need support and healing. Letting it fill you up with the joy and happiness. And then when you're ready, you could put your hands just below your belly button if you like, or just bring your awareness to that part of your body. And there is what's called the Tantien. It's the center of the body, from front to back, side to side, and top to bottom. And you can imagine that inside of your Tantien there, inside of your body, you have either a crystal ball or a pearl or a treasure chest, and let the good energy that you've gathered fill up your treasure chest with new gems, put more facets on your crystal ball, radiating light and color, or putting more layers on your pearl, creating more radiance and luminosity inside of your being. So that when you need it later in the day or sometime later in time, you can just bring your focus and awareness down to this center spot of your body and draw on the energy that you stored here today from taking in the good and from smiling into your distress, releasing it and transforming it, filling yourself up. So let that fill up your collection place there in your lower abdomen. And then gently imagine spiraling the energy 9 times in one direction. You can move your hand if you like to spiral the energy. And that stores it in place, kind of your lock that you can always open and access this energy. And then 9 times in the other direction. And then releasing back into the moment when you're ready, opening your eyes. Taking in a new breath, celebrating your new pathways that you just created in your mind and body. And thank you so much for your attention and time. And as Perry said, thank you so much for your own inner transformation, because that then helps and spreads out to change our world and our communities. Blessings.
Mm, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Linda Barrios. Wonderful. Really felt the letting go and
Yeah.
moments, short moments, longer moments. So thank you for your time. I will remind everyone, we have our monthly meditation the third Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. We have some good ones coming up. We've got some sound healing. We've got an art therapist who'll be guiding us through meditation and an art exercise next week, actually in September. So just tune in to perrysplanet.com, PLANIT, because if you don't plan your health, if you don't think a little bit ahead, you're going to find the time to exercise. It just doesn't happen. So we know
Okay.
that to make the time to do it. So thank you. All
And
right.
just as a reminder, Perry's going to send you the link for the Inner Smile meditation. And if you want, you can check online for Rick Hansen's Taking in the Good.
Perfect. Good. All right. Thank you.